Hello everyone and welcome to the Constructive Criticism Network. This network is here to help you improve at Magic the Gathering at every level. From Pauper Leagues to Top 1000 Mythic, we've got you covered. If you want to hear the entire network, head on over to our sponsor at PureMTGO.com, where you can hear each and every show, each and every week, and check out their sponsor, MTGO Traders, and tell them that the CCMTG Network sent you. Now sit back, enjoy the show. From YouTube, podcasts, and more, here's this week's episode from ConstructiveCriticism.com.
How's it going, everybody? It is 8 o'clock in the evening, Saturday, February 1st, 2020, and I am joined by a very, very special guest, one of the evening, Saturday, February 1st, 2020, and I am joined by a very, very special guest, one of the kind of architects of my formative years of Magic the Gathering, one of the people that kept me interested in the game after I made my first trip to an LGS. One of my oldest Magic friends. I'm not making an age joke when I say that. Brian Canada. You probably know him better from his YouTube channel, Cure for the Common Game. What's up, Brian?
How you doing, Adam?
It's been a long day, and we're doing. Why did we have to do this at the end of the night?
Wouldn't have it any other way.
I mean, yeah, plenty of material. So, for those of you who don't know, this is the show Homeward Path, part of the Constructive Criticism Family Network. We're the show for the little guys, for the F&M grinders, commander players, the people that are interested in experiencing Magic as the F&M grinders, commander players, the people that are interested in experiencing Magic as their primary source of fun and escape from the grind of daily life. And if you want to help me escape from the grind and malaise of daily life, you can support the show over on patreon.com/HomewardPathMTG. Every piece of content I put out is always going to be free, but if you support what I'm doing, you like it enough to help me keep doing it, I am not going to turn it down.
That's right.
So, we're going to go ahead and slide over into the fast lane. We're going to put a foot on the gas, and we're going to fire off some rapid-fire questions for Brian. For those of you who don't know, who haven't heard me talk about Brian before, why don't you tell them a little bit about the kind of who you are and what your shtick is, what your goal, what your thing is.
So my name is Brian Canada, and I was introduced to Magic in 1994. Been playing.
It came out.
Yeah, I found Commander, and we called it EDH back then. And I have
we still call it EDH.
Yeah,
at times.
yeah, we do.
We're not elitist. It's just what it's called.
Right. But here about, I don't know, 3.5 years ago, I love deck building. I do.
Yes.
And
I remember that about you. That was one of my first impressions of you. Like the very first deck I ever sat down across from you when you were playing, it was, God, what was it, 2005, 2006? Something like that.
Sounds right.
And you were like, it was my first standard tournament. It was the weirdest tournament structure, but we'll get into more of that much later. But I didn't end up doing very well, and I ended up spending most of the night in the back jamming casual games with a bunch of people at the table. And you were playing this like Underworld Dreams Urza's.
I had just like casually, I had like 65 or 70 different decks.
Oh, that I didn't know. That was
because I would come up with a new deck idea. I would build the deck. I'd play it, and it's like this thing that you made. It's almost artistic in like creativity. So I would build it, and I didn't want to take it apart. I just built another one, and about 3.5 years ago, I had taken some time off of my professional life, and I just flipped the camera on one day and just started going through my personal decks. And once I started,
it became hard to stop.
Yeah, and I thought, you know what? I am going to build every commander deck possible. Every legendary creature that exists, I'm going to build a commander deck out of it. And you know what? Some of those are really hard to do.
Some of them you just choose for their colors.
Commander deck possible. Every legendary creature that exists, I'm going to build a commander deck out of it. And you know what? Some of those are really hard to do.
Some of them you just choose for their colors.
Hey, I don't know what you're talking about. I love 7 mana legends tap for a blue.
It's such a great mechanic to build around.
Riven Turnbull.
But as our segment for Fastlane this week, I decided we'd just let the listeners, the viewers at home, send in some questions that they might have for quite possibly one of the foremost experts when it comes to the fun, like the experience of Commander play.
Yes. Because
very few people have that approach to that format.
I love it. That's what it's all about. For me, Magic, it's more about the gathering. Oh, yeah. I love this game.
A buddy of mine asked me the other day, he said, how do you define a game? And I said, well, for me, it's some form of either intellectual or physical stimulation that provides an escape from the more mundane things you always do.
Absolutely.
And for me, very little does that the same way, 3-hour round of throw in weird cards that we've never read before at the table. Like,
absolutely.
There's nothing like it.
I'm going to laugh every single game.
Yes.
Every game.
Every single one of them. Whether it's casting, Fists of the Anvil and Temur Battle Rage on a board of 18 goblins, or the following turn dying to the cats that put on their coats of arms.
That's right.
So our first question comes from, ironically enough, my first patron,
awesome.
Kevin McGrath.
Hey, Kevin.
Said he's got two. The first one is hardest commander to build around, like any that you had to set aside for a while because it was too difficult.
There are several that I have been working on for multiple years. The Jace deck took me 6 years to build, but that was because I wanted every card to be specifically Jace. But yes. that wasn't really difficult. I just had to wait for them to print enough cards.
Right. Right
now, out of the new Theros ones, I am having a difficult time with Haktos.
I can see that.
Because you can't. I mean, it's all you've got is anthems. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And you're Boros, so you start with one hand behind your back anyway.
Yeah. You're playing the worst color by itself in Commander in red, and then you're playing the worst color in like every other constructed format in white.
Which kills me because I love white so much.
Right? It's fun. It's just.
Well, the reason why I like it, though, is because it's such of a challenge to make it good.
I could do a whole episode about... Oh, wait, I just did. And then the other side of that, what was the easiest one? Not just the popular ones, but ones that were fun for those wanting to get into the format. Just like you sat... But ones that were fun for those wanting to get into the format. Just like you sat down and the deck just seemed to kind of build itself.
Ruhan of the Fomori. Ruhan of the Fomori is...
Smashy.
Well, no, it's not smashy.
It's not.
It is every card in the game of Magic in those three colors that uses the word random.
Oh, my God.
and then when I ran out of random cards, I went to coin flipping.
Because it's also random.
Yes.
I love it.
That is a ton of fun. Somebody's going to die. It may be me. I don't know.
What is it? Your opponent's like, okay, I need you to bring me up to speed. What's going to happen this turn? And your response in true Steve Martin from Pink Panther fashion is, we know nothing. You are now up to speed.
Flip a coin. Who knows? That's exactly what that deck is.
The next one comes from, he's not a patron, but he is one of the longest running listeners and one of the listeners I have the most interaction with, and Brandon Wheeler, who says, I have the Niv Mizzet Paran deck for EDH. What are some auto includes other than mana rocks? I'm new to Commander and don't really know where to look. And as far as knowing where to look, you are, again, rather uniquely qualified in that regard.
Right. Now, the very first place that a lot of people will point you to is EDH Rec. However, that is fair warning there. I love the website. I love those guys that run it. But it is a composite of every single Niv Mizzet Parun deck that has ever been built and listed online. So even if you've got like several different builds that have been focused in different areas. It's just going to mash it together on that one composite page. So you've got to filter some of that with how
We both have them built. I
Yes.
know I do. I'm
Yes,
fairly certain you did too.
yes. But
'Cause
now,
we saw the words "do stuff, draw a card," and we're like, okay.
I like doing stuff. I like drawing cards.
I like doing both of those things on the same card.
But now here's one of the one of the problems with the specific quest I'm on. As of today, I have 539 commander decks,
Yes.
and here I am. I know I have built Niv Mizzet Parum. I know I have.
Can't remember what he does.
I remember the card, obviously.
I mean the deck.
Yeah, but I do the best I can when I build these decks, and now I'm like, yeah, that's a good card for that deck. Oh, I put it in there? Sweet. Niv Mizzet Parun, he's the triple, isn't he?
Yeah.
And can't be countered?
Correct.
Niv Mizzet Parun, he's the triple, isn't he?
Yeah.
And can't be countered?
Correct. Which is fantastic for a 6-drop commander.
Absolutely. It's the most is it commander ever.
Yes. Which is, ironically, you saw firsthand a few weeks ago. That's exactly how I built it.
Yes.
I wanted that thing to just, like, a whole bunch of stuff is going to happen and eventually somebody's going to die.
And that's a very is it way to do it. Let's see. Auto includes.
I mean, obviously, like, because of how good Niv Mizzet is with it, both it makes them better and plays naturally with it. Just the words draw a card.
Yeah, and as I remember, I think I went like Tribal Niv Mizzet. I think I'm playing all three, not counting the 5-color one, of course. All three of the is it ones, just because they all just feed off each other.
Yeah, they do. I went like as far down the Spellslinger rabbit hole as I could on the.
Oh yeah.
We're playing Primal Amulet. We're playing Young Pyromancer, Docent of Perfection. Like, I'm playing Electrostatic Field, Firebrand Archer, and Gutter Snipe in that deck.
I'm working on a different style Spellslinger deck. Uyo. Spellslinger Uyo.
Ooh.
I haven't got it filled.
I have a very special place in my heart for Moonfolk as it is. So
I haven't got it finished yet, but it feels really dirty while building it.
The only iteration of a Spellslinger deck I've seen that was quite possibly like the dirtiest thing I've ever seen was when my friend Nick built Kess Dissident Mage.
Oh, that's so easy to bust.
As a turbo turn. The only iteration of a Spellslinger deck I've seen that was quite possibly like the dirtiest thing I've ever seen was when my friend Nick built Kess Dissident Mage.
Oh, that's so easy to bust.
As a turbo turns deck.
Yes, that is easy to bust. Man, it is.
So we just, we have Kess on the battlefield, we have Melek on the battlefield, we have a flipped Primal Amulet on the battlefield, and then we cast a time stretch out of our graveyard, and let's just take 10 turns.
Why not? We're going to go into solitaire mode here.
Nobody else is playing for the rest of this game. That's how we're going to win. Everybody else just gets up and leaves while I'm trying to figure out if I can ever kill everybody.
I lost a game last night to something like that.
Oh, God.
It's like, okay, you got it. We're good.
For specifically Niv Mizzet Parun, the three that really came to my mind for kind of the typical kind of staple builds of Niv, a billion spells and something happens and you eventually snowball an advantage. Storm combo is also just unreasonably easy.
I can actually see. I think that was the route I went with it.
It's just.
It's
so easy.
Very, very.
It's so easy. You're just... my Pyretic Ritual draws a card. My Seething Song draws a card. My Manamorphose draws 2 cards.
More importantly, with me, the Empty the Warrens draw. It's nothing like ending up with 30 goblins.
But, your Mind's Desire draws a card before you storm off.
Yes, it does.
It's so dumb. And then your Brainstorm deals 3 damage. 4 if you count the card you draw from Niv.
Yeah.
Ugh. Treasure Cruise. Draw 4, deal 4. 1 mana. And then we go Mizzix Mastery, cast my graveyard, and everybody dies.
Here's something that a lot of Izzet decks I think are overlooking is Mizium's Trendraloquat.
I'm drawing a blank on that one.
Original Guild Pact. It is a artifact that can copy another artifact, but if you use the actual Izzet activation of it, the Izzet mana activation, it becomes a copy of that artifact and retains that ability. So you can copy different artifacts. Now, most of the time, your Izzet decks are Spellslinger, but here lately, in the past couple of years, we have gotten a lot of artifacty Izzet.
Yeah.
And that really, really helps to be able to change that thing from card to card.
Yeah.
As needed.
I can see that. And then, of course, we can't mention a Niv Mizzet Commander deck without mentioning the ease of which it is to slide Curiosity and Ophidian Eye in.
Be careful, though, because one of those is a May ability and the other one is not. So
Jace, Wielder of Mysteries is really easy to play in your deck.
Yes, it is.
And then you just draw the whole thing and kill everybody.
And now we have a 2-drop version.
Well, sort of. You have to have the May ability for that one to happen.
Right, yeah.
But ironically enough, Niv pushes your devotion up by 3 too. But that was pretty much it from Brandon. And then of course you had to do the thing where you had to ask a question to yourself. Courtesy of Twitter.
I saw it pop up on Twitter, and I just that card fodder cannon popped in my head.
Oh my Lord.
I love the flavor text on
The question posed was, is there anything worse than being a goblin's cousin?
Step on another cousin.
Oh man. So with that all knocked out of the way, let's get over a little bit. Let's slow things down, and we're going to go into the focus of the episode, which is on community building in Magic. And one of the most, for me, overlooked aspects of the game. Everybody likes to talk about the fact that the Gathering is better than the Magic, but nobody wants to talk about how to facilitate making it that way.
Agreed.
So I figured the best place to start would be kind of our Magic origin stories.
Yeah.
And specifically because I've told mine like when I started and what all I played until I eventually went to LGSs and started playing tournaments. Specifically kind of first impressions of LGS play. Like, because I've never heard this one from you, kind of your first experience in a game store.
Okay. I don't think I've ever told this story.
Not to me, at the very least.
To anyone, yeah. I started playing in Missouri in a town called Cape Girardeau, and there was no, at the time in '94, there was no game shops. You had like a collectible shop, maybe a comic book shop carried it, but there wasn't any dedicated place to play. But now, just a few miles away in Sykeston, there was a comic book shop that had like war games, Warhammer stuff like that. And that was the first big actual local game store that I went to. And it was in the mall. It was kind of a small, small venue there.
It reminds me of the old version of, we was like Bookland or whatever in Jackson. That was where a lot of that stuff happened.
And that's where I really came into being, because the first year or so that I played, we would meet at like Hardee's was open 24 hours. As long as you buy fries every so many hours or a Coke, they're fine. They don't care in the middle of the night. And we would just meet at wherever and play. Of course, now this was before the wide adoption of the internet too. So you just had to know where people were playing, and you would just show up. But that LGS there, I really found when you start frequenting your LGS version of this happening to them, you find a group of just like-minded individuals. They may not even play your game, but something clicks there. Like through Magic, I started playing several other games. Yes, I've cheated on Magic in the past.
Same.
I've played other games, but I always come back. I mean, I've never stopped playing Magic.
I cannot say that.
And when I get out of whatever the other game is, be it Warhammer or Lord of the Rings or Overpower, boy, there's a
Star Trek CCG. That one was a short-lived, fun experience.
It was not short-lived for me. I did a box bust on it last month.
It was way more fun than it ever got credit for.
Yes, it was.
Or the really obscure one, the Austin Powers card game.
We did drafts of that at the CCG.
I remember. I remember.
It was a ton of fun. But because I have, with my professional life, I have moved around quite a bit. So I've always kind of found LGSs wherever. I was like, well, okay, we're moved in. I got to go find the game shop. And
I know that mood.
So, little known weird tidbit. I have been to 6 different LGSs where the owner is named Jeff. It's weird.
That is an odd tidbit.
It is weird.
That is odd. I have noticed that names that start with J are pretty common. I've known a lot of owners named like Jeff and John and Jeremy and
we got to find the one that's owned by Jarvis.
Yes. Because you know he's going to give you excellent service.
Absolutely.
He's very good care of you until he gets implanted into an android body. Anyway, so for me, you were there at my formative LGS experience.
Yes.
Like, we'd been playing locally for a while. A group of kids from here in McKenzie introduced me to playing actual formats. To that point, we'd just been playing that format called Cards I Own.
Yes. I'm a big fan of that format.
It's a fun format, but not necessarily very structured. It doesn't give you cohesive avenue to compete. Your decks are just awful, and you don't realize it. So they're still fun, but like once you come up against a tuned piece with one of those, you're like, oh, I gotta fix what I'm doing. I gotta fix it. Do
you remember that very first time? It's different for everybody, but do you remember that very first time that you encountered that style deck? It was like this level up moment for you, where you realized what this game is capable of.
Yes,
and you were. I was blown away. I was like,
I'm sitting here playing this like, oh god, what was I playing? Because mine in that particular example is a really bad experience because it left me with a really sour taste for competitive play for a little while. Because the first deck that really introduced me is Matt Blaylock introduced me to what Standard had just gotten through being by stomping my face in with Affinity.
Whoa, Affinity.
Affinity.
See, my very first one that I took to a tournament was a blue-white deck, and it's the exact opposite of what you have in your mind.
It is not Brian Weissman control.
Because here was my line of thinking. Okay, I want 4 Sarah Angels, 4 clones, and 4 doppelgangers.
So we're just going to have all of the 4/4s.
Yes.
We are tribal 4/4s.
No counterspells at all.
It hurts my soul. It hurts my soul.
That was the day I learned what a Wrath of God was.
Yes. In my case, we'd been playing a little bit over the summer, and I had kind of organically started learning about regular constructed Magic deck building principles just by having to figure them out in order to keep up.
Mm-hmm.
But that first tournament, we went up there, and it was me, my now former friend, went up there. First tournament, I played the deck I had that felt like it ran the smoothest not necessarily the most powerful, the fastest, whatever, which is something that's kind of followed me throughout my time playing Magic. I try to pick the one that I feel like is going to fail the least. But that's something that kind of holds me back at times. But I went in there and I thought I was going to know literally no one. And this is going to be an aha moment for you, because I recognized one face in the building because I had met him about 2 months prior at a winter formal that we happened to both attend at West Carroll High School. One, Chad Anthony Powers.
Yes. Love Chad.
At West Carroll High School. One, Chad Anthony Powers.
Yes. Love Chad.
And I know he's not listening, but still.
He should be.
Nah. Every time I try to pull him back in, he doesn't want to do it. So he's more interested in playing the digital games. He's big on Eternal, and
I can get him in with Commander. He ain't even got to build a deck. He's got to come by the house.
Yeah.
He knows where I live.
He also knows where I live. He was on board with, coming here because the barbecue place is right over there. So. But that one, that was my first experience with walking in the door and just seeing a whole bunch of people all playing the same thing. Because for me, the only, we'd go to each other's houses or we'd play each other at lunch at school.
Right.
That was it. At school.
Right.
That was it. That was the only experience I had for Magic to that point. And then I go in and it's like my mind just, it's like the gradually increasing brain size meme.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm way up here at the bottom, the size of a pebble. That's what it felt like. I was like, whoa. And the weird part about it still to this day for me is, even though, it was 2005 and we had, major tournament circuits everywhere, all this stuff going on. And that shop still at that point was running single elimination F&M.
Yes.
I think I wasted more money playing single elimination F&Ms for the better part of 3 years.
Yeah.
Than anything else.
But we didn't know any different.
No, that's how we had to play. That's how we had to play tournaments.
Yeah.
We thought that's how they went. And then somebody's like, "Oh, I went 6-2 at this the Kentucky Open." I said, "How did you get a second loss?" What do you mean 2 losses? Didn't they kick you out after the first one? I thought that's how this worked.
Yeah.
So eventually I kind of moved off.
Yeah.
I did, I played at Collector's Item. A lot of people don't even remember that's the name of the store. They just remember the name of the owner.
Right.
But
do you know that in that shop, I had read about, I played the very first game of Commander in town. It could possibly be the state of Tennessee. I don't know.
Very possible.
Right there in that shop. Because I had read about it on,
back then it was this weird wonky format that judges were playing.
Right. And I was like, oh, this sounds cool. So I built a deck. Stupid me. I built a deck and I took it up there and I'm like, what do you mean nobody else has got a deck? So the next week I built another deck. So we had 2 and brought them both up. And I got, I want to say it was Derek, sat there and played with me. And us playing this game with this weird, why is your deck so big? Why is that card not in your deck? It's over to the side. Well, that's my Commander. And it just drew a crowd.
What is happening right now?
Yeah, it was. And
that was me and the guy standing in the back. What is going on? Are they just bad? What is happening? Why are they playing so many 7-drops? I don't understand.
Because I want to say those 2 decks were the 2 of the 3-color dragons from Planar Chaos.
That was where they got their name.
Yeah.
That's where the format got its name.
Decks were the two of the 3-color dragons from Planar Chaos.
That was where they got their name.
Yeah.
That's where the format got its name.
Yes.
The
Elder Dragon.
The original Elder Dragons, and then the kind of the champion dragons from Invasion Block and Planar Chaos.
Now we have Elder Dinosaurs and Elder Giants. EGH.
I mean, in Sarah's case, playing last night, she was playing Sideways Tribal, so,
Hey, there is
Smork Tribal.
there's nothing better sometimes than
It's such a cathartic feeling.
You play dudes, you turn them sideways, and you know what? Sometimes the dude math works out in your favor.
Math is for blockers anyway, right?
That's right.
The only math you have to do is figuring out how many cards you can cast.
Subtraction from life.
For those that didn't get to hear about that, my wife actually cashed her first FNF. I would have been even more proud if she'd finished higher.
Yes, indeed. I have been in that experience before, and you're like, I taught them.
Get that like single tear rolling down your cheek.
Do you remember in 2008 when Memphis got Worlds?
Yes, I was down for Christmas and could not go.
Yeah, I had my shop at the time. It was the only days we were ever closed. I literally hung a sign on the front door, "Gone to Worlds." So there was 6 of us that carpooled down there, and we were all walking around, and we saw a chance to play against Richard Garfield. Now, these 5 other players that rode with me, I taught all of them how to play. So we all 6 of us played against Richard Garfield that day. I was the only one he beat. Everybody else that I taught beat him.
On YouTube.
Uh-huh.
And you have your Vegeta moment there. You're like, this is a new feeling. Pride in someone else. Unfortunately, it's quickly being replaced by unyielding rage.
I was just thinking those who can't do teach.
Yes. What am I doing, right? But I eventually ended up moving off. I went to school in Minot, North Dakota. Frozen tundra of Minot, North Dakota, where it's snow and ice on the ground 9 months out of the year.
The only thing I know from Minot, North Dakota
is it's an Air Force base that literally no one wants to get stationed at.
No, that's not what I know.
Oh, wow.
I'll tell you, the only thing I know from Minot, North Dakota is, okay, preface here, I am also an MTG dad. I'm actually an MTG granddad. I found the game after having kids, so during that, there is a granddad. I found the game after having kids, so during that, there is a cartoon series called VeggieTales. Way back. Yeah, we're going to the way back machine, 20-something years.
That hurts a little.
And
I think I just sprouted a few gray hairs.
There was an episode in there where they referred to Minot, North Dakota.
Oh my gosh. Well, when I got up there, I obviously didn't know anybody because it's 1,400 miles one way from where I live.
Right. And you were thinking, might not be the best place, but it's where I am.
Oh, God. Their town slogan was, "Why not, Minot?"
That is awesome.
But I got up there, and the only place they had to play any sort of games, eventually, most of mine, I was just building stuff, and I just brought my stuff with me. I didn't know anybody I was playing with, so I was playing a bunch of other games. I was kind of talking around. The only person I knew there was Sarah.
Right.
And eventually, she kind of overheard somebody that was working in the same work study program that she was talking about it. So she let me know to look him up and talk. And, we're so good at that in, 18, 19 years old.
Oh, yeah.
About walking up to somebody and not being the most awkward human being in the world. And you're like, "Hi, I heard you play Magic. Let's go play." You're Derek, right? And we eventually ended up, Derek introduced me to his friends Lance and Mike, and we would play we'd alternate locations. We'd play at Derek's apartment. We'd play at my dorm. Told me about the only game. I was like, why don't we go to the shop? Don't we have a shop? And they're like, well, we do, but not really. The name of the shop that was there was called Force of Habit, which is ironically a pretty effective name for a game shop.
Yeah.
And it's kind of sad that it was the way it was. They were much more of a comic and collectible, and like every single Magic player that played there played cards I own.
Right.
Which, for the three of us, as people who were trying to play more competitive formats, we were trying to stay kind of on the cutting edge or whatever.
Yeah.
That was not a good place for us to play. Nobody wanted to play with us. And what ended up happening is, because like Force of Habit was just off the square, so from the college it was probably about 3/4 of a mile.
Right.
And in the summer, that's fine. 3/4 of a mile walk, that's nothing. And in the summer, that's fine. 3/4 of a mile walk, that's nothing. But when there's like 4-foot snow drifts, 3/4 of a mile is a ways.
It's a trek, yeah.
And I never wanted to be the burden on anybody, so I'd just avoid going and just sit in the dorm room, wait until we were all going to get together anyway.
Yeah.
But eventually what ended up happening is a new shop opened up. It was my sophomore year. A new shop opened up. Like the back end of the college was just at the bottom of the hill, or like starting up the side of the slope of the hill on the main drag. And then this shop was just like right up here on the corner, just below the crest of the hill.
Oh, that's convenient.
Right? Oh, look, I just got done with my 3 o'clock class. I don't have to do anything until 6. Let's walk 40 feet over here to Grand Slam. And I just want to do baseball cards, currency, stamps, like the niche collectibles that nobody ever carries.
Right.
And we just started going in there to have a place to play because he had tables and stuff set up for people to sit down and kind of pour over stuff and bring stuff up to him to sell or whatever. When we started going in there to play. And the more he watched us play, the more he's like, where do y'all get this stuff? Like, where do y'all buy this? I was like, well, currently we either buy it online or we buy it at Walmart because that's all we have.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay. How would I go about getting this stuff? I'm like, I mean, look around, see if anybody's trying to unload a collection. You can, and then, talk to Wizards of the Coast who makes the game. They can potentially put you in touch with some holes, see what we can figure out. And he says, okay. Well, he eventually went and he bought a collection from somebody, and he had the coolest display system for his, because he built his display case.
Oh, yeah.
And it was wood, and it went up the side of the wall, and it was sitting at a diagonal, and in the diagonal he had slats cut where you could just slide a card in and it would stand up.
That's neat.
So it would just, like, everything was right there facing you with stickers for prices all over them.
Oh.
And it was, if you wanted a card, you'd tell him, hey, Frank, I'm going to grab this. And you just walk over and slide it off the wall and hand it to him.
Huh. That is neat.
And that case went with him everywhere he went, to the best of my knowledge. But, he got that knowledge. But, he got that collection. And then we're like, well, what about sealed product? And at the time, the newest set that had just released was Conflux.
Yeah.
We said, what about just bulk product? And he said, well, I don't really feel comfortable doing it if it's not going to sell. So the three of us looked at him, the four of us looked at him, we're like, okay, Frank, let's put it to you this way. If you buy a box of Conflux and do not sell it all by the end of the month, we will buy the rest of it from you. And you ain't got to worry about it ever again.
Yep.
Let's make that deal. And in 2 years' time, we went from having to convince him to buy his first box to him getting in like 25 cases of product for a pre-release and worrying he wasn't going to, or for a release in, like 25 cases of product for a pre-release and worrying he wasn't going to, or for a release day and worrying he wasn't going to have enough.
Yeah.
Because what he did was fostered, what he and we as a kind of a cohesive group did was foster this community where we wanted everybody to just come in and sit down and stay a while.
Yeah.
His wife would bring baked goods. They kept a fridge stocked with drinks.
Yeah.
Did we have to pay for those drinks?
No.
Hey, Frank, I'm getting a Mountain Dew. Okay. Make sure you put another one in there. Because for him, that was money he was going to make back, because the longer you stayed there, the more likely you were to buy something.
Right. Exactly.
And we held F&Ms. We held, we just get together on Wednesdays for playtesting.
That's cool.
We'd have deck building parties. When we were getting ready to move back down here, I was trying to pare everything down. I had brought my entire collection up with me when I moved up there from high school.
Mm-hmm.
And I had this big, like, Rubbermaid tote full of loose bulk cards. And one afternoon, I vividly remember going through one afternoon and taking up the entirety of 2 long folding tables so that we could count how many cards were in those totes, and he just bought all of them. Because he'd started doing repacks for a store about 120 miles down the road, where he would package this stuff up, and he was sending them to this other store to have as new player product. It was like $1 for a repack of 30 cards.
Awesome. Yeah. Heck yeah.
So he paid me based on how many cards I got. And that ultimately, like, the amount, like, fulfillment we got from building that store up, from having no inventory and just the 4 of us ever playing there, to the point where we were, 40, 50, 60 person pre-release events by the time I left.
Yeah.
Like, in 2 years' time. It was something. It was really something. And then the summer in between, like, we were it was before he had changed locations and before we really kind of ramped everything up crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I actually came back down here for the summer. And we kind of have a mutual interest in this part of the story. It was the eventually ill-fated, but at the time it was a fun experience, the story of the Gamers Guild in Jackson.
Yes. Yes. That was Southside.
Yep.
That was Southside.
Yeah.
And
there was nothing there.
There was absolutely nothing to do on the south side of town. There's very little in all of Jackson.
Yeah.
Completely. And,
the only one was the one we'd been going to forever, and
right.
He kind of let other things become more important.
Yeah. The Gamers Guild I found accidentally, because they were literally just half a mile from my house.
Yeah.
Right across the street from the high school. And I passed by there and I went,
Where have you been all my life?
That sounds like a game shop. So I go in there, and there was just almost no Magic community. I mean, there was a lot of, he had some arcade games up front. Yep. And just a little bit of a lot of different games.
Yeah. And
he was, had just like single Magic packs that he had in there. And I met him and talked to him and explained to him that, I'd been playing for a little while, and I started going there on Saturdays because I would play at the North Side shop on Fridays.
Right.
And then on Saturdays I'd play there because, it's right there by the house. And so, right. And
I know that feeling. It's right there.
That's
where I'm going.
So on Fridays, I would talk to the other, the North Side crowd, and eventually
they kind of started to trickle in, and that's about when I got there. Like some of them had started to trickle in, but by that point, by the time I got down here, they were still just kind of they'd come in and we'd play test on a Saturday.
Yeah.
And I had on a Saturday.
Yeah.
And I had just gotten a certification before I left because it was while I was still trying to help Frank get everything up and running. I had actually gotten my certification to be a tournament organizer.
Yeah.
And so I convinced the owner of Gamers Guild to start doing tournaments there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And, you know, we would bring, you and I both would bring a bunch of extra decks so that we'd have everybody outfitted.
Yep.
Were they good? Almost certainly no. I was still at that point where I thought, like, I don't want to admit to the things I thought were good.
I remember building decks for players out of the common box and them winning tournaments with them.
I cannot say that. I cannot say that. I could probably do it now, but I couldn't do it then. But we eventually, you know, we kind of built that community up, and then unfortunate events led to a change in ownership, change in culture, and eventually a change in location.
After the change in location, see, I am, one other part about me is I am a 30-year retailer.
Yeah.
It's what I do. I run retail establishments. And I saw that vacant spot right there at that beautiful location, literally
right on the corner, right across from high school.
Yes. And so we were driving by one day, and it was me and the wife, and I said, you know, right there would be a great spot for the game shop. Just kind of joking, you know, because one was there just a year before.
Right.
And she said, you know what? You're right, and you're just the person to do it. And I was like, well, that is my green light.
We had done the whole issue with the guild that summer, and then I went back up there for another year.
Yeah.
And by the time I came back down here, you were open and thriving.
Yes. We Magic is well, first off, for any I can speak to store ownership there. Magic is just one piece of the puzzle you have to have
absolutely.
For a thriving game store. But Magic, you need all parts of the buffalo.
Yes.
You really do. I mean, I love my very favorite format, believe it or not, is not Commander. Oh yeah, I got the look.
You got the look.
My favorite format doesn't exist anymore.
I was briefly speechless, and a lot of people who know me know how hard that is to accomplish.
My favorite format is blind pre-release.
Yes.
There was a day in time.
Oh my heavens, yes.
Where spoiler season didn't exist.
The story was about maybe the book had already come out.
Right. And
that was back when the books were good and we didn't have a lot of Twitter outrage over them.
Yeah. And I love that. I love sealed. I love draft and standard and modern. Like I told you earlier tonight, Pioneer is new, but it definitely has my interest.
It's tickling your fancy.
Yes.
Because it looks very much like a deck builder's format.
Yes. Yeah. And that's what I love, just mainly obscure card interactions, that's how I found my home in Commander, because I'll get in there, and the only other person I've ever heard her do this, because I've had like the kids and stuff peek in the door and go, "Dad, are you all right? You're in here like laughing maniacally." and the only other person I've ever heard, and she's termed it, Erin laughing maniacally. and the only other person I've ever heard, and she's termed it, Erin Campbell, the broken giggles.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
Because the broken giggles are real, and
I don't do the broken giggle. I do like the broken Yoda voice where I'm going through it and I'm like, that's a thing I can do.
And I start talking to myself. You get in the zone, and you're just deck building, and it's
you can see the sparks flying.
Oh
and
yeah,
starting to billow out.
And my kids are like, "Don't talk to him. Just walk away."
It's the best part of the Kylo Ren temper tantrum scene in Star Wars 7.
Right.
Where the stormtroopers walk up, realize what's happening, and are like, "No, I don't need him that bad."
But
let's get out of here.
I had signed a 24-month lease on that building, and the building had some structural problems, but it's collectible games. It reads as, this is a magic shop. It really does.
Yeah.
And it translated to it. And we had built there, because it's not me. One person can't do it. It was everybody's work. We had built a huge Commander EDH community there. This was before Wizards ever released the first Commander decks in 2011.
That was about the time I really became interested in it. It was actually getting to play there.
And I remember having what we would do, because right around the corner was Domino's, and so for Commander night, everybody pitched in $5, and I used the entirety of all that money for prize support. And then I bought pizza for everybody.
That's awesome.
We did it on Thursday night Commander. And it was a blast. And there were times with 16, 18 people playing Commander on a Thursday night.
That is glorious.
In 2009.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I vividly remember coming back down. This is the late summer, early fall of 2010.
Mm-hmm.
And I had just gotten married. I was moving back home, and a couple of friends convinced me I needed to come up and see you, so I did. And I came in for an F&M, and I ended up having way more fun after I scrubbed out of the F&M than I did during the F&M. Borrowed a deck from somebody and played a bunch of Commander games, and then I went home that night and feverishly built Crash the Blood Braided.
That's such a good Commander.
I ultimately ended up pivoting away from that to something else, and then it was within a year after that I took my breather. I say breather, it was a sabbatical from the game, but
sometimes that's necessary. As I say, I've never quit playing, but there have been times where I don't play as much.
Yes.
I have, my job has moved me around a lot over the past 30 years. And there have been places where there just is no community. And so I was like, well, I'm here for, 9 months to a year. So, and then there were times when remember when Lord of the Rings took over Jackson? That was super weird because out of all of the every week was a state championship tournament. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Because the makers of the game had a representative that lived in Jackson, and he taught us all how to play. The thousands and thousands of players in the state of Tennessee, every week, of the top 20 players in the state play. The thousands and thousands of players in the state of Tennessee, every week, of the top 20 players in the state, we would have 16 to 18 players.
Jeez.
Just so every week turned out to be with the ELO system. And the owner would post every week the top 25 rankings, and there was a point in time I was the scrub. I was losing to all these people, but because anytime I would win one game, I would gain so many points. I was like, "What do you mean I'm in the top 25 of the state? I'm the worst player in this room." And they're like, "Yeah, you may be the worst player in this room,
but there's a lot of people worse than you out there."
Right. But you're measuring yourself against greatness. And some of those guys went to nationals and worlds and of Lord of the Rings. It was crazy.
That's kind of similar to one of the guys that I ended up playing with was not nearly so pristine. I've told this story a little before, but one of the players I played with in Minot was none other than Trevor Humphreys. The same Trevor Humphreys that was on track to win SCG Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
And he and one of his other teammates were implicated in the Shufflegate controversy.
Gotcha.
But him and Lance and Mike would routinely go and, they'd make a run in top 8 of PTQ, or they'd make a run Lance top 16 to Grand Prix.
Wow.
In Minneapolis in 2009, I believe it was. And Trevor won a PTQ in Winnipeg,
Wow.
And then there was another name that was about 150 miles down the road that we'd play tested with a couple of times, but I didn't really get to get any FaceTime with him because I was that weird idiot kid that built bad decks because he didn't have any good cards. So I just didn't get a lot of time in talking to him, but there was this name down the road that ultimately ended up emerging as one of the better Magic players of all time, and one of them that is still to this day revered as the best standard player in the game, and that's Brad Nelson.
Heck of a Magic player.
Yes, he is.
Indeed.
I don't remember much about him, like, as a person, because, again, I didn't get to interact with him much.
Yeah.
He was more concerned with testing with people that were going to push him,
right.
And I was not that person. So, if I saw him tomorrow, he wouldn't recognize me, and I know that, and I'm not going to be insulted by that. But in all of those communities that we've been through, kind of there's a few common threads through all of them that kind of run through all of them that made them successful. And it's behaviors, it's beliefs, it's like things we did more so than it was just us being there.
Right. It takes a village. It takes everybody working to build a community. I mean, it can be spearheaded by one or two people, but
other people eventually buy in and they spread. And
you've got to.
And the first thing that helps that is enthusiasm.
Absolutely.
Actually, I guess the first two kind of go hand in hand, enthusiasm and passion. And
yes.
I tell people all the time, I don't know that I've ever told you this to your face, but you are one of the most outwardly passionate Magic players I've ever met.
I love this game, and thank you, by the way.
It's whether it's, to go out and build this like weird beard tribal deck for Commander, or, we're playing a game of Commander and this interaction comes up and you're like, hang on a minute. I think I can do that in Modern.
Yeah.
I want to do that in Modern. And then you try it, and it either succeeds or fails miserably, but you never know until you try.
Do you know what my record is in Modern? I'm not talking win-loss ratio. Okay, no. Everybody's got that. My record in Modern is pushing somebody out the door of nothingness on turn 4. Yes,
that is dope.
That's the kind of Modern I play.
Oh man. I guess that's probably more appropriate than the last time we played Modern. It's felt weird seeing you casting lightning bolts. I'm just saying. More appropriate than the last time we played Modern. It's felt weird seeing you casting lightning bolts. I'm just saying. It felt wrong somehow. First of all, you were playing this 60-card deck, and there was no commander. And then there were these like lightning bolts and skewer the critics, and you forgot to wax a chump like a candle and pack your light up the stage.
That's right. That's right.
Not good.
I'll never forget that when I texted you, it's like, I'm going to go play Modern. And you were like, you're what?
Scooby-Doo face. SpongeBob meme. Whoa.
I even typed that in on Twitter that I was going to go play Modern.
And somebody asked you if your autocorrect had messed up?
Twitter suggested something else besides Modern, because it was like, nah, he ain't doing that.
He's never typed these words together.
It was a blast, though. I mean, as I said, I love this game, and I have met many, many lifelong friends. But you want to talk? Here's one. My daughter met her husband in my game shop.
Yes, I did. And
they named their child Jace.
Yes.
So I refer to my grandson as Baby Jace. Even though he's like 7.
That was the best Jace. It killed the other one for one less mana.
Yes.
And then you could Sun Titan it back.
He doesn't do that anymore, but
you
can still Sun Titan it.
Yes.
Although I'm probably Sun Titan the Burnished Heart over and over and over again.
And let's get all the lands out of our deck. But kind of the last one is being open to different ways to experience the game.
Yes.
Because the most the best communities, I should say. I'm not going to say the most successful, because there's been plenty of really successful game stores that do not have a good community.
Right, true.
There's not a correlation between successful store and good community.
Yes.
We need look no further than the store that shall not be. There's not a correlation between successful store and good community.
Yes.
We need look no further than the store that shall not be named that is currently in Jackson.
Right.
To see that.
Right.
But as I can't remember who it was. I think it was, well, I can't remember who it was that I had this discussion with. I would rather somebody come in over and over and over and over and over, spending very little money, but I get to see them coming in all the time, enjoying what we're doing.
Yes.
Than see them come in, drop a wad of cash, and never come in again.
At the end of the day, it's all about people and seats.
Yes.
Boy, it was hard to keep that PG. But yes, it is. And fundamentally, it's, I'm known as the commander guy, but you know what? It doesn't.
I mean, what was it?
Every once in a while, I throw a soul ring. Every once in a while, I throw several lightning bolts.
Wasn't enough last time, though.
No, it was not. It was not. But I had it. I had the dream.
Yes, you did.
I had the dream. I looked at my opening hand and I'm like, I can turn one blood moon, but I had 0 lands, and I had it was game 1 of that round, and I said, you know what?
We're gonna do it.
No, I didn't, because I didn't know what he was playing. I was like, because knowing my luck, he's playing some monocolor something, but if he's not, I got him. And yes, I'm just, it's a waiting game till I draw lands, but I just couldn't take the chance, because I was going to be down -4 cards to do that.
Yeah.
3 spirit guys and the blood moon and just be sitting there waiting. And sure enough, he played no the blood moon and just be sitting there waiting. And sure enough, he played no basics the entire game. I could have had it. I could have lived the dream, but I second guessed myself.
Yep. And I mean, over the years, we've both kind of played a lot of different wild variations on Magic. We've played Emperor, we've played Kingdoms, we've played, the secret to success in a community is a group of people who actively want to play together.
Yes.
The more comfortable everybody is with everybody sitting down together at the same time and playing, the better the community is.
Yes, indeed.
If there's not somebody, if there's not, a handful of people that you're kind of side-eyeing going, I really don't want to have anything to do with them. If you don't have that, you have a healthy community wherever you are.
Indeed, yes.
And in particular, everybody that comes in the door feel welcome.
Yes.
I try to greet everybody with a handshake and a smile.
Indeed.
Do I work at the shop? No. I just play there. But I still want people to come in and play there.
9 times, every time when I will play a pre-release or a draft or something sealed like that, and at the end of the day, because we are pretty invested Magic players,
Yeah.
And I will go up to the shop owner and I'll say, okay, who's the newest player in the room? Who just registered for a DCI number today?
Yeah.
And I will go to that player at the end of the tournament and just give them my deck.
Yeah.
Here you go. And just the light, the eyes, what? Because that is one more player
that we get to play
that our game has now. Yes, that
I remember that from the video you did. This is going to age out the video.
More player
that we get to play
that our game has now. Yes, I
remember that from the video you did. This is going to age out the video about Frontier.
Oh yeah, yeah.
When you said every person that quits playing Magic is one less person I get to play against.
That's right. That's right.
And I can't play this game by myself.
Indeed. That's true.
So that one's kind of stuck with me over time. So I don't know about you. I think that kind of wraps it up.
Indeed.
Ties a neat little bow on our constructive community guidelines.
Absolutely. I love the
I know
name,
you
by the way.
appreciated that. I thought you might. So, I guess that means it's time to pull in the driveway,
Okay.
and let's tell everybody where they can find us. I'll let you go first.
Well, I am on YouTube. The channel is called Cure for the Common Game. I have recently become a Twitter addict. It's Cure_Game. I'm on there frequently.
And if you know me but don't know him, I don't know what you're doing because I tag him in everything. So
currently I have been on building and recording and releasing a deck tech video every day. I say every day. I think there was 2 days in January that I missed.
Yeah.
So I think I only did like 28 or 29 videos in the month of January.
Still like a lot.
That was a bunch.
It's a lot.
That was a bunch.
I do 4 of these a month.
It's a
for perspective.
It's a lot of deck building, and it's actual deck building. It's not like making a list on a website. No, I'm physically putting cards in
decks
sleeve.
the same way.
Yes.
Even though I use lists, I consult lists to come up with them. I find that I build better decks when I have the cards in my hand.
Yes, indeed.
I don't know why that is.
The mind works better. And a lot of times we don't even have to read the card. That artwork is like, oh my gosh, that combos with this. And yeah.
Like the mana curve lays out better in my head. Just
it's hard for me to look at a list on a website and go, well, this is what that deck needs or doesn't need. I have to like physically look through the cards.
Yeah.
I'm a very tactile learner, I guess.
Well, I have a photographic memory, as I've been told more than once. I have a very photographic memory. I remember arts. That's how I associate. As far as how to associate with me, you can find me on Twitter at HomewardPathMTG. On Facebook, my name is Adam Spain. If you're a fan.
Oh my gosh, how awesome is this? I never realized this.
Huh.
Both of our last names are countries.
We need to find somebody. We need to find somebody with another European country name so we can label the Commander game World War something. Oh, I shouldn't joke like that. But we have the Facebook group for the show, Homeward Pathfinders. If you're a fan of the network as a whole, they have a Discord channel. If you're a patron of this show, I also have a Discord channel. At $1 a month, you get access to the Discord channel. At $3 a month, your deck moves to the front of the line for the Riding in Cars with Cards series on YouTube.
Cool.
Deck techs. I try to pick, if I have one submitted, I try to pick one that kind of emulates what we've been talking about in the episode, if possible.
Makes sense.
To apply the lessons we're trying to teach. Obviously, that won't be the case this week. Okay, we've been talking about community building, I guess. We need to talk about Kanaios and Tiro in Commander. And,
there you go.
Let's build a community at the table by making sure everybody gets to do everything they want to do as long as you come out on top. No.
There's also blue braids.
Huh?
There's also blue braids.
There is blue braids. I always forget about blue braids. But and at $5 a month, you actually get the opportunity to help me write an episode.
That's pretty sweet.
So, your topic, your suggestions. So, those of you who are patrons of $5 a month, please let me know. We need to talk about this. I need to get your episodes done. And obviously, I have to say it again. If you like what we're doing here enough to help support me in continuing to do it, patreon.com/HomewardPathMTG. Be sure to check out the sponsor, PureMTGO.com, and their sponsor, MTGO Traders. And the rest of the family, ConstructiveCriticism.com.
Which, by the way, I have started listening to several of that, and there's not a bad show in the
really
bunch.
Not. Like,
every one of them. I consume way more audio, probably Magic content than anybody I know, because I live an hour away from my work.
Half an hour for me, same.
And I started off with one, and now I think I am actively listening to 26 It's a bunch, and they're on my list. Yeah.
But for those of you who, for whatever reason, are following this show and not any of the other ones, there has been a little bit of a changing of the guard on the network. Spencer Howland has stepped down as the host of Constructive Criticism. Okay. Has passed the mantle on to his former co-host, his former tech producer at SCG Richmond this weekend, yes. Mason Clark.
I saw the shirts.
He has taken over the reins. He and Matt Kling are going to continue to do it until they get to a point where they can name a co-host that Mason is more comfortable with.
Okay.
But those two have a natural chemistry with each other anyway. They've done this together for a while. And I think it's just, Matt, I love listening to Matt's takes on Magic, but I can't imagine what a grind it is for him. So, and then of course, Common Knowledge is still going strong. I firmly believe that to be the best pauper podcast on the web. Firmly believe that to be the best pauper podcast on the web.
Seconded.
I think it might be one of two of them that are on the web, but it's the better one. That's not a knock on the other one. They're just really good.
Yes, indeed.
And then kind of our newest addition to the family is, of course, MTG Trailblazers.
Clever name. Love it.
I had a feeling you would love the name. Pioneer content. I'm over here trying to type in a thing, and I was trying to type in Pioneer. But it's Pioneer content. Kyle and Ren do a really fantastic job just highlighting deck text, highlighting trends in metagame, highlighting kind of what the format is about. Yeah. Which is, it's difficult to figure out what's going on.
And that's what makes it so amazing.
Right. Okay. But that brings us to our closing segment.
Are we there?
We're there.
Oh, yeah.
Those of you who know me know that I love wordplay. You know, I make no secret that I'm a father, and I fit as many of the stereotypes about that fact as I can. And one of those is the love of the dad joke. And when you love Magic and you love dad jokes, we got to talk. Hashtag MTG dad jokes.
Oh, yes.
So the first one is from Emma Partlow, who, by the way, is an underrated article creator in her own right on TCG Player. She did Budget, Modern, and Pioneer articles on there.
Oh, cool.
And it's fantastic. But Emma says, so with the release of Theros, any sweet cards you're looking to use in Modern? I think Klothys has some potential in Jund and Ponza. Feels like a decent hoser with potent stat. Is the comment that says, that sounds kind of like a Ponza scheme to me.
Love it.
And then I got sent this one from Steam Elephant. Why did I spend black mana to cast Heart of Kirin?
I feel like this is going to be good, but I don't know it.
It's because it's jet powered. Some of y'all kids don't know. Some of y'all kids don't know why that's so funny.
Oh, I'm crying.
And the last one is from none other than Mark Rosewater.
He's always good. Good old dependable Mark.
Tales from the Pit, number 2217. Says, actual Alexander Clamilton flavor text that got cut for space issues.
Have you seen how many
lines? I love the name.
Have you seen how many lines of text is on that card?
Yes.
I'm surprised they even wrote flavor. Have you seen how many lines?
I love the name.
Have you seen how many lines of text is on that card?
Yes.
I'm surprised they even wrote flavor text. Yeah, we're going to fit it on there.
It says, who lives, who dies, who shells your story.
Oh. I think he lives his entire existence for unpuns.
They're so good. They even reprinted Rock Lobster, Paper Tiger, and Scissor
Oh, they did?
in unsanctioned.
Okay. I hadn't looked at the full list yet.
We need to get those for our determining factors for our start of Commander games. Shuffle them up and we each draw one.
I think we can actually throw in a lizard and I have a spot card.
Oh, my heavens. Oh, God. We could figure out who goes first. Well, no, because everything loses to everything else, too. So. Oh, that's great.
At least we were in the dad joke section, right?
We're already there. We're already where we're supposed to be. But that's all we got for this week. That's all of it. So, let's cut off the engine. Let's head in the house.
Indeed.
And on our way out, let's tell you, be good to each other.
Absolutely.
Like
that's what it's all about.
This game is hard enough as it is when you're trying to improve. Like
that's what it's all about.
This game is hard enough as it is when you're trying to improve. You're trying to whether it's collection building, whether it's trying to build better decks, whether it's trying to build more decks.
Even just learning how to play, the learning curve is so.
It really.
Yeah.
What is it? It was a game designed by someone getting his PhD for his other PhD friends.
Yes.
And I work in a factory that makes barbecue sauce and marinades, and I play this game.
I sell groceries.
Yeah. Like, you sell what I make.
A lot of it, actually.
But, that's who it was designed for, and we're playing it.
Yes.
So, of course, the learning curve is high.
Yeah. But it's worth it.
Nobody should be made to feel inferior for anything they're doing with Magic.
Absolutely not, no. Because we were all there once.
We need each other up. We don't need to tear each other down.
Agreed, 100%.
So, if I can leave you with nothing else from this episode, that's my big one. So, get out there. Be the positive influence you want to see in this community.
As the man once said, be excellent to one another.
So, I feel like we can sign off with your outro on this one.
Oh, really?
So for now.
Well, first, I want to say thank you for having me. This was a blast. Anytime you want me to come back, just let me know.
Absolutely.
But right
now, I might
now,
come to you next time.
Hey, that'll work. I would love to do a deck tech on one of your commander decks.
I think after I get Chainer built, we're going to have to do that because I don't think my build is going to be like anybody else's.
Cool. I like that. I like that because I'm always looking for something weird and different.
Value mid-range commander.
Heck yeah. I guess that's it for right now.
That's it for right now.
So the only thing left to do is to shuffle and cut.